candidates for the County Assessor's Office, Neysa Fligor and Rishi Kumar. Come on up. And tonight, moderating our forum is our board member and previous council member, Luigi Oliveira. So I'll invite him up to get us started.
Good evening. Welcome to Willow Glen Neighborhood Association Candidate Forum for Santa Clara County Assessor. In November, there was a special election since the former county supervisor, Larry Stone, resigned mid-term. The County Board of Supervisors has since appointed the Deputy County Assessor, who's also here, as the new interim assessor to serve until a special election would select a newly elected county assessor. There were 4 candidates in November, and now only 2 remain. Neysa Fligor and Rishi Kumar. Both have had careers in high tech, one at Hewlett Packard, the other at IBM and Cisco. Both have been elected to city council, one in Los Altos, the other in Saratoga. Both are registered Democrats, although this position is nonpartisan. So let's hear what the finalists have to say this evening. We will have the candidates start with a 2-minute introduction. Then we will have questions with 90-second answers. Every question may have a rebuttal/response of 30 seconds and 30-second response, with a maximum of 4 rebuttal responses per question, 2 for each candidate. So there's really to have a discussion. We will rotate the answers, each question first. We'll trade off, and finally we'll end with a 90-second closing statement. The timekeeper is Maren. She has a tablet there, and I will call time if you exceed the time. And now we need to flip the coin, and you see you're closest to me, so I will flip it, you will call it. Tails. You have, so you can decide if you want to go first or second. Okay. And this is a 1976 icon. Okay. So you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you so much for inviting us and for hosting this first debate forum with the 2 finalists, as you heard. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks to the Willow Glen Neighborhood Association for hosting us. I walked in and I was very pleased to see the number of attendees. You never know when you walk into these debate forums how many people will actually show up. So Neysa Fligor, and I'm running to be your next county assessor. And I'm running to ensure that the assessor's office continues to work for residents and taxpayers. And to do that, you need an individual with the right experience, qualifications, and leadership and management acumen to get the job done. And I am the only candidate with the experience, qualifications, and relevant management experience to get the job done. On experience, I am currently the assistant assessor. I'm number 2 in the office, managing the office. So pretty much doing the work of the assessor. I'm just not elected to that position yet. Before that, I was special assistant to the assessor, so I was already part of the executive management team, working with our over 240 employees doing the work of the assessor's office. And before that, I was the attorney for the assessor's office, where I represented the assessor's office in appeals and also advised them on the different laws that govern our office. Because 99% of the work we do in the office is governed by laws, and based on my background in law and my assessor experience, I was able to bring that to the table. Qualifications. I am the only candidate with the legally required property tax certification to be your assessor. What does that mean? It also means I understand the work in the office, from business, personal, property, commercial, and residential assessments that need to be done. And when it comes to management acumen, this is a management job where you're managing over 240 county employees. I'm doing that now, and I'll also apply my leadership skills from being a regional leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Rishi?
Yeah, my name is Rishi Kumar, and it's an honor to be here. I humbly ask for your vote today. I'm the only candidate in this race with a record of cutting taxes, cutting waste, and optimizing government. I'm the only one in this race who has not voted to increase your property taxes. You can trust me with the assessor's office. I'm the only one in this race who is pushing a property tax reform, which is sweeping the country and pushing exemption of senior property tax for the over 60 age group. 16 states have already done it. Why not Santa Clara County? I'm excited. We just submitted the ballot initiative language to the California Attorney General, and it's moving forward fast and furious. I'll get it done. Latest polling shows we are 5 points ahead of my opponent who's sitting by my side, with 19% undecided. We believe we have a path to victory. I'm the only one in this race who has pledged to protect Prop 13. Politicians want to cut Prop 13, but your home is not their piggy bank. I'm the only one in this race who's a proven tax fighter. I'm the only one who's never voted for a tax increase. Repeat, only one who's never voted for a tax increase. And I'm the only ethics and politics candidate as I reject PAC money and special interest group money. I'm the only one who's challenged Santa Clara Company and rejected 10 rate increases, got me re-elected with the highest vote count in 70 years of my city. I'm the only one in this race who has modernized IT systems. As a C-suite software executive and AI author, I bring deep expertise in finance operations and IT modernizations. And the choice is yours, an entrenched insider who has already raised taxes, or an independent outsider who cuts taxes and makes things more efficient. I would be very honored to have your vote. If you like what you heard, go to rishikumar.com and make a campaign contribution. Thank you.
Okay, our first question. We'll alternate back to Neysa. The property tax appeals process takes up to 2 years. Is this an acceptable amount of time? What can be done?
Thank you, and let me just quickly address and clarify for our guests this afternoon about the role of the assessor. You've heard a lot about cutting taxes, raising taxes. As assessor, you do neither. The role of the assessor is to identify all accessible property in Santa Clara County and work with the subject matter experts and qualified experts in our office to apply a value based on different valuation methods and laws to those different properties. That is the role of your assessor, and that's what you should be looking for when you decide who your next assessor should be. With regards to the question on the appeals process, there's been a lot of discussion about our appeals process, and I've been part of the county, part of county council, and now part of the assessor's office. There are different stakeholders who are involved in this appeals process. And so when you hear some cases are taking up to 2 years, that doesn't just reside in the assessor's office. When an individual, a residential or commercial property owner files an appeal, that gets filed with the clerk of the board. I will tell you, the assessor's office, once we get that appeal and the hearing is scheduled, we start working on it immediately and we move it through quickly, because it's to your benefit and our office's benefit to move quickly and resolve those appeals. And so for residential, you'll hear 2 years. That 2-year mark really applies to commercial properties. Residential appeals are resolved much faster, and I'll make sure we resolve them even faster as your next assessor. Thank you.
And this is an elected leadership role, so every elected leader should be suggesting reform.
And hang on a sec, we want to get the timer right. Did you do 2 minutes on the last one there? 90 seconds, yeah. Okay, my apologies. We're good. I saw 30 seconds, I got nervous. Thank you. Okay.
So every elected leadership role should take a reformist position. And we have truly done that. And there are assessors across the country that have taken positions, including Fligor from Alameda County. So 2 years for an appeal process is it's shoddy, it's a shoddy job. The appeal process is clear as mud. I've talked to a lot of folks, and people are very confused because you show up to talk to one assessor, you get a different answer, you show up with some documents, you do something else. So there are huge challenges with respect to how the process has played out over the last 30 years. We need to do things differently. Secondly, we can use tools to automate the process, like AI tools. I authored a book on AI. I have deep expertise and insight in terms of modernization and also fiscal moderation. I like saying that. So when you look at applying AI technology and automating some of these appeal processes, which is really, this is not rocket science. There are assessors across the country that are actually doing that. And also, as part of this, we need to improve the employee morale, because I've seen the survey, and the assessor's office, the employees were in the bottom 5% of the county. So things are not quite all right. We can do a lot better. And that's the reason why I'm running, to make things better for the assessors and for the people of Santa Clara County.
And then either of you are welcome to have a further response on this topic. You get up to 30 seconds and the other person responds. Neysa.
Thank you. I do want to quickly respond on a couple of items. So first of all, our employees were mentioned. I will tell you, I have the sole and full endorsement of the employees in our office. They know me, they have worked with me, and they're supporting my leadership. So when you talk about morale, they know I have their back and will continue to do the work of the assessor's office. With regards to modernizing technology, and I'll talk more about this later, but I led the effort successfully to move forward with acquiring a new modern technology solution that will improve the processes and efficiencies in our office and continue to do the great work. Thank you.
Yeah. And you get to respond 30 seconds as well.
And we'll be stuck in a do loop forever. No, not really. So, essentially, when it comes to modernization, when I was part of IBM, I was a hands-on guy. And I did modernization, upgrading of old COBOL systems, which Larry Stone loves talking about, and modernized them to the latest software. We did that with Wells Fargo, with Kaiser Permanente. I have hands-on experience. I have 2 decades of modernization experience. A lawyer can do it. Thank you.
Time. And then, just to be clear, you can respond again, just at the limit of 2, so 4 responses, so we're good. All right, fair enough. So we're moving on, and then we're supposed to rotate the question. So, Rishi, so you can go first on this one, Rishi. Santa Clara County does not ban donations from tax agents. However, other counties do, such as Los Angeles County. Tax agents are like lobbyists that lobby the assessor on property tax appeals. Should Santa Clara County ban donation from tax agents? And have either of you accepted money from any tax agents?
I've taken the pledge to reject all PAC money or all special interest group money. That was right from my 2014 city council election to Congress to today. Because my interest is to work with the people. I serve your interest, not the special interest. And that will never change. And I'm the only candidate in the race who's actually rejecting this type of special interest money. Plain and simple. So, the short answer is no. We should stop having these types of contributions impacting the role of an assessor. I've heard stories from people about people getting sweet deals. So, in my first 30 days, we'll begin the audit process to uncover the failures of the last decade or more and make sure this never gets repeated. Because we are all there, it's an elected leadership role. We are there to serve the interests of the people first and foremost, not cut deals for anybody, not be bought by others, but be there to serve the interests of the people. I've had a reasonably good thriving career in the world of tech. When I jump into public service, I want to do the due diligence, I want to do the right thing, and not get swayed by corrupt values. So I will stick to that.
I would 100% support banning candidates for assessor receiving donations from tax agents. I will tell you, so I'm currently vice mayor on the Los Altos City Council. I'm in my 2nd term. I've served as mayor, vice mayor in my 1st term, top vote getter both elections, and I've returned special interest donations as a council member. So I 100% would support that ban in Santa Clara County. With regards to modernizing technology, first, I want to emphasize again the role of a county assessor, because that's what we're running for. We need someone with the experience and the qualification who is able to work with a team of specialists and experts in our office to identify and assess commercial, business, personal property, residential, and all the different types of properties in Santa Clara County. That is the primary role of your assessor and what you should be looking for in your next assessor. But with regards to modernizing technology in the office, our office has been on the same COBOL system, it's been mentioned, for decades. And for different reasons, different starts and stops, we haven't been able to move off that system. I was brought into the office by Larry Stone, our former assessor, who has endorsed me. So has Fligor, the assessor in Alameda County, who my opponent just mentioned. I was brought in and I was able to work with a team of experts to acquire a new modern technology solution for our office, and I have been the leader in implementing new technology solutions, both at the county before. Thank you.
I'm doing it for both, right?
Yes.
Okay, any response or move on to the next question? Okay, looks like we're going on to the next question. And this one starts with, the correct pronunciation is Neysa?
Neysa.
Thank you.
Neysa.
Very good, excellent. Okay, the assessor, along with the Association of California Assessors, is a professional group, and such shares their views with the state legislature regarding potential state legislation. I personally have attended 2 to 3 of these conferences, so I'm personally familiar. An elected county assessor is a significant figurehead for the subject of property tax. Thus, it's important to ask, would you support modifying Proposition 13 in any way?
So no, I will not propose modifying Prop 13. And to that point, just to explain further the role of each assessor. So there are 58 counties, each county has its own assessor. And as was mentioned, we all serve on, well, the assessor serves on this California Assessors Association representing the county. And I've attended these meetings, I've participated in these meetings, and we do take positions on bills that impact the work we do in the office. And Santa Clara County's assessor, Larry Stone, and his leadership team have been loud voices and representatives for Santa Clara County, and that's something I plan to continue. I am someone who has held regional leadership positions. I've been president of the Santa Clara County Cities Association, president of the Cal Cities, which is a statewide organization for different councils. I've been president of the Peninsula Division Board. And in these roles, I have led efforts on behalf of our cities to ensure that these state mandates that keep getting passed down, and I know you were talking about builder's remedy earlier, we push back. And we push back for local control. And we emphasize the need that if you're placing state mandates on us as cities, you need to fund them. And that's the kind of leadership and voice I will bring to Sacramento as your representative, as your assessor representative. And I have endorsements from so many legislators in Sacramento to be your next assessor.
I like the sound of it. Significant figurehead. I like that. But essentially, I see in a county that there is a zeal to raise taxes, and so my imperative, my driving force is that I want to protect Prop 13 because given the first opportunity, 1978, that's when it was passed, and it's holding quite well. And with the zeal to raise taxes, like we have seen with the sales tax increase that I did not support, the only one was raised. And we can see the fiasco with how our DA is now filing a lawsuit against the county. It's going to be a spectacle right now. I mean, it's going to play out. But I was proved right. So essentially, the assessor should take a leadership role in the state of California. We are the most affluent county in the state of California, one of the most, top 5. And we need to figure out policies to bolster Prop 13. I'm already leading with that effort by pushing to amend Prop 13 and provide an exemption for anybody who's 60 plus. That language has already been ratified by the attorney, the California Department of Legislative Counsel, and then we are working now. It's already been sent to Rob Bonta, and we'll get that going. We'll get that done.
Response?
Thank you. I want to make sure that we're being very transparent about what's happening with this proposal my opponent just mentioned. At the beginning of this campaign, my opponent said he was going to exempt seniors from paying property taxes, which would have been illegal under state law. Now he's saying he submitted a proposal to the California Attorney General. I want to be very candid with you and voters. This is a very routine process. Anybody, it's a form. You can submit it. It has to go through the Attorney General's office.
Time.
It's a long process.
I was so mesmerized that I forgot to check the time.
So my take is we came up back in early August, we came up with 4 options to work with the legislatures in California to do a drawback when the home is sold. We came up with 4 options, nothing untoward. And we said the best option is to go with the amendment, the Prop 13 amendment. I've stayed true to my words. If you go to my website, rishikumar.com/seniors, you will see a date-wise explanation of what we did, how we did it. The amendment was part of what we had proposed and we'll go ahead and do it.
And we'll respond again. Okay, it's a form of conversation here.
Well, this issue is so important, I want to make sure people understand it. So first of all, it's illegal for an assessor under California state law to do this. With regards to this proposition that my opponent has submitted, again, he's taken the first step that any of you can do. You fill out a form and you make a proposal. It then needs to move to the next stage where you have to get at least, I think, 900,000 signatures. And this is going up against all the different groups that will oppose it.
Time. And then you have a response.
And it's not illegal for any one of us to go and do a ballot amendment, a ballot initiative. It's not illegal at all. We had 4 options, none of them were illegal. I said I will do it because we were going to pick one of those options and proceed forward, which is what we have done right now. There's absolutely nothing illegal. What is illegal is the thirst for tax dollars. They are trying to prevent this because of the need and the overzealous nature of how we want to capture the tax dollars in our county.
And I'm going to start with Rishi. Follow-up question to the last question. To confirm, neither of you have made any verbal or written comments regarding modifying Proposition 13 to interest groups, such as supporting the split roll, which modifies Prop 13. Rishi.
Yeah, so right now, I believe Prop 13 is sort of good, it's working well. Let's not disrupt the apple cart. So I have pledged, and I'm the only one in this race who has pledged to protect Prop 13. And then what we're doing is we are making it better. We are going to make an amendment. Prop 13 was done for seniors back in 1978, and it has really helped them quite a bit. Now we'll actually help them. There are seniors who are basically feeling the burden of property taxes. There are seniors who are feeling the pain. We can do a lot better, and that's the reason why we need to make it easier for them to stay in their homes in their golden years and not have the fear of losing their homes. And that's the reason why I would like to exempt seniors from property tax, 60+ age group, and that's the reason why we're going through an amendment of Prop 13 to make it better, make it work for the people. And we have gone through a lot of research. I've sat down with legislators in California to talk about this process, and we have found certain ideas to see how we could actually do it. I've talked to assessors across, not only here in California, across the United States, to have conversations about what we can do and how we can make it better. And this is the plan we have come up with. There's absolutely nothing illegal about it. Prop 13 did the same thing. Virginia exempted veterans following the same process. Absolutely nothing illegal about it. We know how to do it, we'll get it done. Because we are here to serve the interest of the people first and foremost.
I am confused about whether or not my opponent is proposing to protect Proposition 13 or open Prop 13. And if you're familiar with the process of reopening and trying to amend a proposition, you don't just get to open one paragraph and say that's the paragraph you want to change. It is a comprehensive process, and based on my experience as someone who has represented Santa Clara County cities statewide, I understand the process and know it is not as simple as being told to you this afternoon. You know, this reminds me of, a student in high school running for student government president and telling the students that he or she is going to get rid of homework. Sounds great. And I'm sure this kid will also say, I submitted to the principal of the high school how I want to get rid of homework and how we're going to make sure kids still get work done. We all know when that person gets elected to be president of the student body, he or she will not be able to do that because that decision does not rest with that student body president. And that's what this proposal reminds me of. We do not have the authority currently to exempt seniors, and the process to do so is not as simple as my opponent is trying to make it out. Right now with Prop 19, I don't know if we'll be talking about Prop 19, there have been multiple attempts to try to amend Prop 19, and they failed every single time. This is not an easy process, and we need an assessor who will focus on the job of the office so we don't put your dollars at risk.
I assume there's a response. 30 seconds.
My opponent has been in the office for a year, but has a very intern type understanding of the office. You have to be a reformist. You have to be a reformist. Lawyers cannot modernize. So when they tell you that, I know, initially it was like I'm already modernized, now I'm beginning the process. No, sorry, it doesn't work like that. And when you look at property tax reform, obviously my opponent doesn't understand it because we are going through a ballot amendment. This is the process. This is how we did Prop 13. So we are just essentially following that same thing.
Response or, okay, you'll hold it there. And then just to be clear, I'm not really clear on the answers from either of you. Do either of you support the split roll which modifies Prop 13?
Yeah.
No? Rishi? That's a no. Okay, understood. Okay, great. So, starting with Neysa, and it's what you mentioned earlier, Prop 19 was on the front page of the Mercury News on Sunday. Prop 19 reassesses property to present property values upon the death of the owner, even in cases where there's a living trust and the intention is to pass on the family home to their son or daughter. Prop 19 has been painful for families where they have experienced a family member dying and unable to pass on the family home due to the significant increase in property taxes. Do you support repealing Prop 19?
So I don't support repealing Prop 19 in its entirety. And I will say, as the assessor, even if you don't agree with a law, you're still required under the law to enforce it. And so I'll be the first one to tell you, as the assistant assessor in the office, that we get asked about Prop 19 every single day from taxpayers because they're confused about the proposition, how it applies, how it's different from Prop 13. And so I'm very familiar with the changes that would need to be made to Prop 19 if anything were to move forward. But with any proposition, you can't say you're going to repeal the whole thing. You have to look at the details of the proposition to determine what is working and what isn't working and what can be improved. And that is definitely something I, as the next assessor, as part of the California Assessors Association, would work with my colleagues to do. This may be the 5th time I'm saying it this evening because I do want to emphasize the role of the assessor and why my background as someone who's worked in the assessor's office, who's been part of the executive management team, who's been the attorney for the office, is the right person for this job. Whether or not you have a technology background isn't specifically relevant to the office, but I have a tech background. I worked for HP for over 9 years. I have helped to modernize technology both at the county and at HP. But that is not the specific role of the assessor's office, even though it would be helpful. Thank you.
So, I want to repeal Prop 13. Go to rishikumar.com/seniors. It's been there right from the day I announced. Because it's pretty much illegal what's happening with respect to the debt tax and all the stuff that's happening. It's impacting seniors, they're worried about it, and they all want this to be repealed. And my opponent obviously doesn't want it to repeal because there's a track record of her action in increasing taxes. She actually voted for a $50 billion regional measure 4 tax increase. For a $2 million home in Los Altos, it would have increased the property tax by $768 per year. There's a record. My opponent supported Measure 8, the sales tax increase. It's a laughingstock of Santa Clara County and the rest of California. My opponent supported that. I did not. Because I am averse to increasing taxes. I've stated it at my opening statement, I'm stating it again. Because the thing is, we need to find options to make it easier for our working families. You cannot tax our seniors into the street, into homelessness. And these are the type of challenges I'm hearing from people. And we need a different approach, a different way, a different type of behavior, not this thirst for tax dollars and this approach of raising taxes for people because we want big government and we are catering towards the herd and following them down a cliff, following the herd down a cliff. That's not the game I'm playing.
And any response on that one? Okay, 30 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. As mayor of Los Altos, and this was during COVID, and I've served as mayor of my city, my colleagues at council unanimously selected me to be the mayor of Los Altos. In that role, in 2021, I launched an outreach effort to our seniors. Because I understood what they were going through during COVID, the isolation, the mental health challenges. And so no one will be a bigger fighter for seniors than I. And so I put that to my opponent to say, if there are things that we can do to support our seniors, I will.
And you have a response, yeah?
And the fact remains that my opponent did a $50 billion, voted for a $50 billion tax increase that raises property tax. So my opponent, without even being in the office, has already raised property taxes for the 9 County Bay Area, voted for it. This is not what I would do. My record, I have not raised a single tax, I have not voted in favor of a single tax. That's my record and I stand by it. And that's the difference between the two of us.
Time. And response.
I think this may be my 7th time. The role of a county assessor, your assessor, is not to cut or raise taxes. And I'd be very concerned if we have an assessor who's solely focused on Sacramento and things that are not the responsibility of the assessor. Because that will put at risk the revenue dollars that we need from public safety, healthcare, schools. These are the things that we need in our communities that we appreciate about Santa Clara County.
And you're welcome to go again. There's two per.
We can't be taxing our seniors onto the streets. And that's the reason why I, as a county assessor candidate, have picked up a reformist position of property tax reform, which is unfortunately my opponent may not understand what it takes to create that reformist position. And it's very easy to raise taxes. $50 billion voted yes. As a Los Altos City Council member, voted yes. My record, I've never ever done that and I will never do that again. I'll fight for you. Thank you.
Guess we're going around here.
So I do want to correct the record about this Association of Bay Area Government vote that my opponent refers to. It was one step of an entire process to determine whether or not a regional housing bond measure would move forward, and it wasn't $50 billion. And it never moved forward because the leadership on the association decided that for many reasons it wasn't protecting residents, it wasn't doing what we thought it was going to do, so we stopped it. And that's the kind of leadership I will bring to the assessor's office. I am fine if my opponent wants to be a reformer. I will be your assessor.
And that is an absolute lie. It wasn't pulled. It was because it was discovered that there was a $241 million error into the math, which my opponent did not catch, and voted yes. Go to my website, rishikumar.com, search for 50 billion, and look at the link, and click on that Granicus link, and you will find her statement on there, where she's so gung-ho and excited about that $50 billion tax proposal, and voted yes. That would have increased the property tax for all of us in Santa Clara County and the 9 County.
Okay. Still rotating, but we'll stay on this follow-up question. It starts with Rishi. This is again about Prop 19, but this is something very specific. Do you support modifying Prop 19, for example, to allow one single-family home to pass down to a disabled child without reassessing their property taxes higher?
Yes.
So again, as I mentioned before, as part of the California Assessors Association, we look at these proposals and bills and work together to determine what would we change and what would be the impact on residents, taxpayers, and also the work we do in the office. And so I would pledge that I would definitely look at that to see if it's something I would support doing it, but I wouldn't blindly do it unless I fully understood the impact. But I 100% would support doing something like that that would help the recipients of homes to make it easier.
And any response on this question? No. All right. So I think this one starts. Oh, Rishi.
This response clearly tells you where we stand. I'm really cut and dry with respect to where I stand with taxation policies. My opponent is as clear and cut and dry as a lawyer would. I'm a mechanical engineer, and talk about certification, let's talk about that. I only have that piece of paper. Now, Larry Stone sitting right there did not have that piece of paper in 1992. I'm a mechanical engineer, I can ace any time.
Response.
Thank you. My opponent's response demonstrates he doesn't understand how bills and legislation get made, right? And you do have to understand unintended consequences, the impact of your decision. You can't just rush and make decisions and promise things that you actually cannot deliver. I will be a responsible assessor. I will make sure that my decisions are well thought out, and I always will consider the impact on you. The law did not require an assessor to have that certification when Larry won.
And I guess there's no response, okay.
So, lawyers don't seem to get it. It was told that you're doing something illegal when you're doing this ballot amendment. And I wrote the language myself, I'm not a lawyer. And with very little changes, we actually got it approved. And it's in front of the California Attorney General today. So we got it done. Whereas my opponent will always be stuck in the legal languages and will not be able to move forward, stuck in the weeds, trying to understand things.
Okay, starting with Neysa. Do you think the assessor has a legitimate role in property tax reform?
I do think the assessor, and I mentioned the California Assessors Association, I do think if there is property tax reform being proposed, that we have to be at that table, and that's exactly what we do today as assessors. I will tell you, as part of the Santa Clara County Assessor's Office, I have supported changes to the impact on wildfire victims in Southern California. There were laws on the books that didn't accommodate what we were seeing in Southern California, and under the leadership of our office, we supported changes to the laws in Sacramento to improve the processes and to better serve wildfire victims. We're also supporting a bill that relates to property tax reform that has to do with the probate process. We understand that when someone loses a loved one, that it will take more than a year for them to get through that process. And so right now there's a bill that our office is supporting to say we need to extend that time for family members when they lose a loved one in order to file the documentation when there's a transfer of ownership. And so these are the types of property tax reforms that I have supported and I'll continue to lead, where I know that it will benefit residents, it will benefit taxpayers, and it will benefit future homeowners. So 100% I think we have a role to play for property tax reform, but we have to be responsible, thoughtful, and not lose sight of our primary function of assessor, which is to make sure the work is being done in the office.
I heard a lot of good lawyer talk, but not a clear-cut policy. We need to be there for the people as property tax assessors. And what are we here for? We need to work with the interest of the people, which means what? To reduce the taxes. Prop 8 declines. When property values drop, we should be using AI software to return money back to the people. That's within the domain of what the assessor can do. But my opponent obviously doesn't understand that because she's stuck in the legal language. She's actually a pretty good lawyer, I think, maybe, working for HP and then as a lawyer working for the assessor's office. But clearly she doesn't understand property taxes or the type of reform that is needed in California. And you really cannot continuously tax seniors into the street. This is the story I've heard from so many seniors. And that's the reason why I am championing a property tax reform. It's time to fix the property tax in California, and that's the type of energy, integrity, authenticity that I bring to the table. And everyone, they are calling it a big lie because they are so afraid that someone like me is going to correct the ship of corruption that has persisted in the county for so many decades, that thirst for tax dollars. It's going to be gone. We're going to win this race. The polling indicates that. And we'll make it work a little bit better for each of you, for all the people.
Response?
So here again, we have someone who is running to be the next assessor and lead an office of over 240 employees who doesn't understand the work in the office and what we're doing. We are already proactively applying the Prop 8 reductions he's referring to. As a matter of fact, our office is one of the leading counties in the state that does this, because we proactively reach out to taxpayers and homeowners to let them know, based on what's happening in the market and the economy, the value of their property has been reduced, and so they're entitled to a reduction in their property value. So we are already doing that, but my opponent wouldn't know that because he's running for another office, certainly not the assessor's office. Everything he's talking about is not central to the primary role of the assessor. I look forward to serving as your assessor, and I'm happy to work with my opponent as this property tax reform.
So, property declines. If you want to do it correctly, you have to automate the thing with AI software. So what my opponent is talking about, Prop 8, it's never been done in Santa Clara County. I can guarantee you that. I know exactly how property declines are done with software, with automation, with AI. You look at neighborhood valuations and you're like, this neighborhood has dropped in price. Let's go out and change the property tax valuation. Let's send money back. Is this possible in a manual process in a county today? We have about 500,000 properties. $700 billion is the valuation. Do you think it's possible to do it in a manual way? No, not exactly. My opponent might be a good lawyer, but she doesn't understand modernization. She doesn't understand AI and what it takes to automate these types of things. It's a lot of lawyer talk, but we understand the ground reality. I've talked to people, I understand the challenges that they are going through with appeal process that are...
I think these responses are 30 seconds, right? Oh, yeah. It's stressful on Maren. She's switching back between the times. So Maren's doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Maren.
So you're doing a great job, thank you.
So I think Neysa, you got like 15 seconds extra one time, and Rishi got like almost 28. So any more response on this one, or continue?
You know, I'll quickly respond because there's just so much misinformation, and it's indicative of the fact that my opponent doesn't understand the work we're doing. We are proactively doing Prop 8 reductions. We do have modern technology in the assessor's office. We're still on the COBOL system, which I am leading an effort to get us off in 2 years. But we do have tools that allow our office and residents to benefit from the Prop 8 reductions. That's something we're doing already in the office, and I'll continue to look for ways to improve them. I've also led community engagement efforts where I'm working with seniors and other...
Response.
I see a dichotomy, I heard a dichotomy. We are using modern systems, and in that same sentence I heard COBOL. They don't go together. I know what COBOL is, green screens, I know what it is. At IBM we modernized. My opponent might think that COBOL is a modern system, but it is not. I can assure you that it's not.
So again, my opponent doesn't know our office. He doesn't know the work we do in the office. The COBOL system that we use, that's to process the workflow. We have other modern tools and technology solutions that we use in the office to do other work in the office. And as I've mentioned, I was able to use my tech, legal, assessor, and procurement expertise to acquire a new modern technology solution, and I have led efforts to implement technology solutions, but I also have the experience required to be your assessor.
Do you have a response on that one?
You know, I have expertise in fiscal moderation as well as modernization. I've done it for 2 decades. A lawyer does not understand modernization. I can assure you that. I've worked with a bunch of lawyers. You know, when you look at skills that are needed for modernization, lawyers do not have it, period.
I think now we're going on 3 here, but go ahead, Neysa.
Last quick comment on the office again. I am proud of my legal background. I graduated from Georgetown Law, and I bring that expertise to the office because 99% of what we do in the office is governed by laws. So you want an assessor who understands the laws and how to enforce the laws and to protect you. We also have an IT director in our office that manages the implementation of these solutions. So you don't need an assessor because that's not the role of the assessor to do the modernization work. You need an assessor who understands the work in the office, who understands the value of technology.
I think we've done the 3 responses on this. You can respond. There'll be ample opportunity. One of our board members this evening said they were trying to pay their property tax bill, but payment processing was down. And I've seen that myself, and this is to Neysa. What is occurring when this happens? It's not forever, but it does happen. So.
No, and the first thing I'll say, I'm sorry it happened, right? But I was describing the appeals process earlier, and the fact that there are many stakeholder county departments involved. This is similar with the property tax payment. This is actually not our office. It's the Department of Tax and Collections, and I'm not sure throwing my fellow county department under the bus, but it's actually done through another department because our office, we do the assessment and place it on the assessment roll, and we send that over to DTAC. And they're the ones who do the property tax bill. So I'm happy to take it back to Lewis and the team there so that they can understand this happens. And it's unfortunate. We wish it didn't happen. And so it's just a matter of continuing to look for ways to improve processes. And I'll quickly go back to the technology solution that I was able to work with our office to acquire, and we're moving forward with implementing that solution. Our office has a 95% customer service positive rating where people, give us a positive rating. We get audited by the state every 5 years, and we pass successfully every time looking at the work we've done in the office. But I'll be the first one to tell you that there are areas of improvement, and I'm leading that effort. With this new technology solution that I was able to acquire for the office, we'll be able to improve processes, including the appeals process, and efficiencies in our office so that we can be more responsive, hopefully get rid of any hiccups that actually happen in our office, because we want to make sure that we're continually improving our processes for you.
Time.
So I heard my opponent speak and she said, we will do the assessment. A lot of lawyer talk. But if this question was asked to me and if I was in the office, I would already know the answer. Because I have deep expertise with IT. If it's hanging, I will know exactly why. Because it's very simple to do the debugging. The moment you log a problem report, you do the analysis, you look at the logs, and you can figure out, okay, here are issues. And what I can tell you is, when I'm the assessor, this problem will not happen. It's happening very much likely because of the old archaic systems that we have, and it's time to do an upgrade. And I believe I have the skills needed to make that happen. I won't get trapped into a legal conversation. We will do the assessment, we will try to do this or that. I believe in cutting to the chase. Lawyers will sit on their hands, a lot of, talk, but it's sort of like activity for the sake of activity. What I believed in, coming from the industry as a tech dude, I believe in solving problems, which is really what I've done. As a city council member, as a congressional candidate, just trying to find solutions, trying to carve out policies that will work in the interest of people and find solutions to tough problems. And that's that zeal, energy, motivation, ideas, innovation that I will seek to bring to the assessor's office to make sure that these types of transgressions do not happen. We are able to make the office work effectively for the people. That's my purpose.
Okay, time. Next question starts with Rishi. During the November 18th County Board of Supervisors meeting, Supervisor Otto Lee asked, what is the cost of the upcoming December special election? County Executive James Williams responded, approximately $20 million. $20 million would house approximately 8 homeless individuals. Should a future county assessor be unable to finish their term, would it be better for them to go on leave and have the deputy assessor assume the role, as they're doing currently, and wait till the next scheduled election to avoid the $20 million cost? Will you ask the Board of Supervisors to make this change if elected?
And the answer is yes. So I've heard rumors where people have been talking about in the county that the previous assessor retired because he wanted to force a special election. And the purpose of this special election was to put Measure A on the ballot because the county wanted to raise taxes because of the healthcare operational expenses that we are in. So if you see our county, we spend $7 billion on healthcare with a population of 2 billion. And LA County spends $12 billion for healthcare in a population 5 times. Something is broken in our county. And obviously the BO, the Board of Supervisors, didn't want to do a special election because that would have consequences. So the rumor is, I don't know if it's true or not, but Larry Stone retired to trigger the special election. And on Nextdoor he said that, oh, it was Gavin Newsom who actually funded the whole thing. It was that special election. It happened because of him. No, that was the third piece that fell. The first piece was retired, the second piece was Measure A, and the third piece was the fact that Gavin Newsom decided to do the Prop 50. So the thing is, this is not right. This is not right. And when we sign up for office, we should finish the term. Obviously, he's hale and hearty. Larry Stone is here in this room. I don't see him sick. So why didn't he finish his term? He should have finished his term. It's a betrayal of the taxpayers.
So 100%, I support changing the county charter to make sure that if someone has, for personal reasons, medical reasons, or other reasons where they're not able to finish their term, that it does not cost the county that much money. So I 100% support that. I also will pledge to you, unless there is a personal or medical reason, when I'm elected your assessor, I will finish my term. But I think, as an elected official, as vice mayor, former mayor, and council member, when we get elected, we intend to serve the term and serve our residents. And so we need to make sure that the laws, the charter, the policies that govern that service also factor in incidents happening where you may not be able to finish your term. But 100% I support amending the charter policy laws that it will not and it should not cost that much if this were to happen. So I just want to make sure I do support that. I quickly want to take the time to go back to the role of the assessor, and what my opponent was talking about, what he would do in identifying the hiccup and the issue. Again, that is not the assessor's office. That's the DTAC department that was having that issue. As assessor, you need to know the laws, but you also need to have the oversight and comprehension of what's going on in the office. And I am doing that right now. And I have the support of the entire office. I have their endorsement because they understand and appreciate the leadership.
Any responses there? We'll go to the next question.
Well, it's like, I don't know what to say, because obviously my opponent did know the answer for the hang-up, for the delay, for the processing time and all that. So obviously, the buck stops here. If you are the assessor, it will sort of boil down to you making sure that you understand all the elements of what it takes to run that office, whether it's IT, whether it's property taxes, whether it's taxes, everything else, employee, morale, everything. The buck stops here. And what I can assure you is, I would not be hiding behind excuses.
But it wasn't the assessor's office. This is a separate, and that's something I bring to the table as well. As someone who has worked for the county for over 10 years, I understand the county departments, how to navigate the process. This is not a tech sector job. This is a government job, and it is unique, and it is different from operating and navigating a tech sector job. And so I bring that expertise and understand the difference between the DTAC department and the assessor's office, and I'll be able to navigate and move through processes to help residents.
Time. And a response.
DTAC office, we are stuck in the noise right now. The DTAC office, or whatever it is impacting the role of an assessor. It's impacting the office. It is up to the office to get that thing fixed. It's not like, it's a different office, my opponent here doesn't understand it. No, sorry. This is just like talk. When things are broken, gotta be fixed, whether it's here or in Timbuktu. If you're using the services in Timbuktu, we better figure out how to fix that. And my lawyer opponent doesn't understand that.
Time. I guess we're good there. Okay, Neysa. The former county assessor served approximately 30 years. Should this position be term limited?
And the former assessor is here and his endorsement. I'm honored to have the endorsement of the former assessor who served for 30 years because nobody knows the job better than he does. I also have the endorsement of the assessor who served before Larry, who served for 29 years, Al Carlson. Nobody knows the job better than Al Carlson because he was our assessor for 29 years. I also have the endorsement of many assessors, including Fong La from Alameda County, because they understand the importance of having someone who has the expertise, the experience, the qualifications to be your assessor. They understand what the job really entails and the type of person you want to be your assessor, and so I'm proud to have their endorsement. With regards to term limits, 2 answers to that. One, I do support term limits. I think it's important now whether or not it's for 8 years, 12 years, what that looks like, but I do support term limits. I do think it's good to have depending on the role, having someone else come in after a certain number of years. But for certain positions, so we have city council, which I serve on, I've been mayor, board of supervisors, and other legislative type elected bodies. Most of those have term limits. For sheriff, DA, and assessor, they don't have term limits. And the reason is because the work is so specialized. Once you have that person doing that job, you want to make sure that someone who's going to be the next person is qualified.
So I think you both answered the question, right? And no response after that, right? Or is there a response?
I think I did answer the question.
Term limits, yeah. I think you answered that, yes?
No.
No, apologies.
Okay, so absolutely, I favor term limits because we need to bring in new energy and new leadership to solve problems. And the current state of the assessor's office is a representation of that. For 3 decades, we did not modernize. It was an abject failure. We can do a lot better. The process for appeals was as clear as mud. We can do a lot better. And my opponent sitting here is actually part of that problem, not the solution. You heard her. She's talking about, it's DTEC and this and that, it's a different system. It's just excuses after excuses after excuses. That's not the game I play. This is the difference between the two of us. An entrenched insider will follow the failure of the last 3 decades, or an independent reformist. If you elevate the conversation we have had, just raise it up a notch, and just see what we are saying. Just listen to us, what we are saying. I'm trying to find ways, I'm trying to find solutions, I'm trying to create reforms to make it work better for you, for the people. Whereas my opponent, we hear a lot of great talk, but there's not a whole lot of substance that is coming out from it. That's the reason why we're going to win this race, because we have clear-cut ideas. We bring a lot of great ideas and leadership. I'm the only one who's managed hundreds of people. The only one who's modernized. We can get started.
And a response.
So I'm currently managing the actual office with over 240 employees that I will do as assessor. Again, the Department of Tax and Collections is different from the assessor's office. The assessor is not the CEO of the county that manages all the departments, but of course, I know this and I would know how to run the assessor's office and serve you because I have the experience and qualifications to do so. A couple things I've already started doing differently from the former assessor. Again, I'm moving forward with modernizing the technology, increasing community engagement.
As far as I know, the gentleman sitting at the back, Greg Monteverde, is the current assessor. He's running the office. So I'm a little confused. Is she running the office? Is my opponent running the office? Or Greg running the office? I'm just confused. I'll leave it there.
Okay, I guess right there. This starts with Rishi. The assessor compensation is $330,000 a year based on information of 2023. I don't have any information or more up to date. If the next assessor serves 12 years, they would make over $4 million and retire with a lifelong pension and lifetime health care. Is this compensation low, high, or just right? And I think that's to Rishi.
When you look at the compensation that when you compare the tech compensation versus public sector, the big difference is the pension plans, the forever pension plans. We don't get those types of pensions. The salaries are much higher in the world of tech, and with all the options, with everything else that comes into play. So, when you look at the budget of 30, when you look at 240, 250 people, you look at a $50 million office budget, it is like a CEO role. The analogy is, it's like the CEO of a startup. 240 people is a mid-sized company. So given that context and compare it to tech, the fact that it's super expensive here in Silicon Valley, it's probably a good option. But what I worry about is the pension plan, because this pension plan is unsustainable in our county and then when you look at CalPERS and the mismanagement of these dollars, those are issues that need to be fixed, We need to recruit the best talents, even from the world of tech, for these types of roles. And the compensation needs to be ensuring, because a huge component of this job is the modernization of IT, of technology, and that's the reason why this compensation seems to be quite okay from that standpoint.
Time.
So again, the work of the assessor's office is to assess taxable property. We need technology to do the work of the office, but technology is not the work of the assessor's office. And I think that may be the 10th time I've said it today. With regards to the question about the compensation for the assessor, it is not an arbitrary amount. It's an amount that the Board of Supervisors considers every year, and the sheriff, the DA, and the assessor all independently and separately elected. Their salaries are tied to the judicial branch. And so this is an established practice in the county, and many other counties throughout the state have this practice. And so it is not arbitrary. It's based on comparing it to what comparable positions in an elected or appointed position make. And so from that perspective, the salaries have been researched. It's based on cost of living as well here in Santa Clara County. And so it's been well researched and vetted. And so that amount is representative of what the data shows an assessor of Santa Clara County should be paid. So to your question, I think that's where they are, and that's where they landed, and every year it's reviewed, just like any other job, either in the public sector or the private sector, and that's the process it follows. I will also step back and say, when we think about the sheriff, the DA, and the assessor, and I see I'm running out of time, I quickly wanted to make the point, if you have a sheriff, you need a law enforcement background. You would not have a medical professional be your sheriff.
Is there a response to your next question?
Yeah, so when Larry Stone retired, he said that, we need somebody to modernize their COBOL systems. I actually picked up the phone, I talked to him, and that's what he said. Look, there's a big problem. And then he tried to fit a square peg into a round hole with my opponent. She's a lawyer. You can hear her talk, just listen to the talk. It's a lot of analysis paralysis, but not real solutions are coming out from this. A big component, what Larry said back in those days, you can go and look up those articles when he retired. He kept talking about modernization, 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 and that's really what I'm emphasizing.
Response?
So the leadership I brought to the office was to be able to, after many attempts in the office, to move forward acquiring a new modern technology solution. That's the leadership I brought. I also was able to pull a team together, and they're working with our vendor and our experts in our office to implement this new technology solution. That is the role of a leader, that's the role of the assessor, and that's the expertise I was able to bring to the office and make this change. I am bringing many changes to the office, and I'll continue to do that for you.
Any other response? We're good? Neysa, San Diego, Orange, and Sacramento County Assessor has a role called taxpayer advocate to assist constituents acting as an ombudsman. What are your thoughts?
I know all those assessors well, and I've actually talked with them about it, and I think that is a very important role. I would support having such a role. Even though we don't have that defined role yet, I will tell you, when I joined the executive management team last year, I was able to work with my fellow executive management team members to change the way we do community engagement, where we're now going into the community and we're educating and informing residents and taxpayers about the exemptions, about the exceptions that are allowed under the law. Because we want you to take advantage of these exemptions. We do not want you to leave money on the table that you're legally entitled to. And so as your future assessor, this is something I will continue to do. If there are exemptions, I want you to take advantage of them. A veteran's exemption, homeowner's exemption, housing, whatever it is. I want to make sure that I am your advocate and you are getting these exemptions, and making sure seniors are aware of the exemptions that they qualify for. We also provide this information in multiple languages, because we want to make sure language is not a barrier for people to take advantage of these exemptions and exceptions. And that's the kind of leadership I'll continue to bring. So I'm already playing that role along with our executive management team, because I think it's important. That's the role. The assessor's role is not to, increase your assessed value or reduce your assessed value. Our role is to apply the law, and if your assessed value goes up, that's what happens. If it goes down, great. That's what happens.
Rishi.
Yes, you heard already playing the role, and then we heard, I know all those assessors. But what I notice is there is absolutely no creative idea coming in terms of how we can make the office better. You talk to all these assessors, and they already have an ombudsman. Why don't we have it here in the county then? If you know them so well, they've endorsed you, why did you bring those ideas here to the county? That's an absolute failure. Because you're really not willing to solve problems. You're not willing to be creative, to make it work better for the people. It's very clear to me. It should be very clear to you as well. This should have been done 30 years ago. Take the playbook from the world of tech. When you look at the support model, there is a tried and tested playbook. This is how we do stuff. It's not rocket science. Ask ChatGPT and you get the answer. Why haven't we done it in our county, in the assessor's office? We talk about endorsement, I know this guy, that guy, but we are not really bringing value back to the people. We have failure after failure with these appeals that are stuck forever. And then we have lots of excuses that no, it's because of this or because of that, because of this. We should be able to get through and get things done. That's the reason why I jumped into public service, to get things done, and that's the energy I would bring to the table.
Response.
So I'm getting things done. As I mentioned, I was able to acquire a new modern technology solution for the office, something that our office, for different reasons, hadn't been able to do. I've already identified ways that we're improving the appeals process, and we're working with the other stakeholder groups to move these changes forward. I am bringing change to the office. I am not someone professing to do things that are like a student saying they're going to get rid of homework at a high school. I am making practical, realistic changes every day in the office to improve the work so we better serve you.
Time.
I would like to say that after hearing my opponent, I have zero faith in the type of decision that has been made under her leadership. Because I can truly tell that she doesn't understand property tax reform, nor does she understand modernization or how to make things work, provide better customer service. Her ideas are that like an intern who has just joined a team trying to figure things out. No, that's not what I expect. We'll get in there on day one, we'll start executing and solving the big challenges.
Look at my record and compare it to my opponent. I'm in my second term on council. My colleagues selected me to be a mayor. He was not selected by his colleagues to be mayor. He could not convince two of his colleagues to support him to be mayor. Yet he thinks he can pass a statewide measure or it will require convincing either state legislatures or millions of people. I am the leader who brings change to the office. I am the leader who has led regional efforts on behalf of residents and city council members.
Response.
Yeah, with the tech job and a full-time tech job and a council member role that I did full-time, my aspiration was never to be mayor. It's by rotation, and I'm sincerely saying this, I told colleagues on my city council that this is a ceremonial role. It involves ribbon cutting, and you have to show up in the middle of the day. It takes me time away from my day job. I'm really not interested in that role. And what I really believed in was taking on the big challenges, fighting Santa Clara Company.
Just two quick questions. We'll do 30 seconds if that's okay, just to get through these. The former assessor utilized, no. The former assessor was not a fan of staff working remotely. What is your view? And who started on the last one? So is it Rishi? Yeah, so remote work, the workforce. The support, what's your view?
Unless there is a compelling reason for people to be working out of home, we should bring everybody back to the office. We are much more productive when we are back to the office. And, this doesn't need to be a hard rule, but the sooner we start bringing back to the office, there's better collaboration. I've heard stories like 80% of the county employees are working out of home. And that's the reason why we have failures like handling systems or appeals process that's as clear as mud. We haven't modernized in decades. So it's time to bring some energy and make things happen.
So this is not a hypothetical for me since I know the work we do in the office and what it requires. We have 3 priorities in our office. It's making sure we close that production role every June 30th. It's implementing this new technology solution, and it's handling the appeals process. Those are the 3 priorities in our office. And based on that type of work, we do need our staff in the office working together and collaborating, and that's what they're doing successfully. And so our office currently is 100% in the office based on the type of work we're doing.
A response will go to the left. I have more questions, but we promised only so much time. I don't want to fatigue everyone. And then Neysa, how much did your campaign spend in the November election? And same question for Rishi.
Approximately $300,000. I should have used my full 30
You can use
seconds.
the 30 seconds if you want.
And it was important, you know, my colleague, my opponent, he has run for Congress 3 times, lost, but that gives you name recognition. I've run for council, you know, top vote getter both times when I was elected to council. And so running a county-wide race, I needed to make sure I was reaching voters, introducing myself to voters. So it did require me spending more money to do that effort. So my message was clear, and that's why I was the top vote getter. I did not run in the news 3 times.
My opponent has gotten a lot of tainted money, especially interest group money, from organizations. Once you take their money, you are beholden to them. And that's the reason why I reject that money. We don't accept it. We only accept money from people. If you're listening to this, I take the people money, go to rishikumar.com and make a campaign contribution. We barely spend $20,000, $30,000, I don't know, like 10% of what my opponent spent, and 10% of what my other opponent spent last.
Okay, so we'll finish up with closing statements, 1 minute each. I do have an ask. You know, the assessor assesses property and collects that, and does the assessment. And one of those items on the annual property tax statement is the PERS levy. And that's over $300 million a year. However, that dollar amount is missing from the annual consolidated financial report for the county. $300 million is not in the annual consolidated financial report of the county. You have to go to the county, you have to persistently ask someone, not in the assessor's office, so you're free there, and they'll tell you, no, it's not in a report, it's in a screen on their computer. And that just seems bizarre to me, that we wouldn't account for $300 million in the annual consolidated financial report. So whoever wins, take that forward. Otherwise, on the order of going, what order we went in, since Neysa started, Rishi would do the closing statement of 1 minute.
I would be very honored, okay, I would be very honored to get your vote and support.
Oh, 90 seconds, sorry Rishi, go ahead.
Okay, you want to reset that?
Yeah, sorry, my apologies.
So, you know, you have heard the distinction loud and clear. My opponent is about analysis paralysis, and I'm about getting things done. We have some very unique ideas, unique perspectives that we bring to the table. And I'm a problem solver, which is what got me re-elected with the highest vote count in 70 years of my city. Because we were able to cut through problems. Like, for example, my colleagues on my city council said, Rishi, you don't have jurisdiction over San Jose Water Company. We really can't challenge them. And you know what? I did. We engaged the people, which is what I'm going to do with the ballot amendment. Engage the people and push forward. And we rejected 10 water rate increases that nobody has even tried or attempted. So I have that getting things done approach. Where there's a will, there's a way, and that's what I seek to bring to the table. You have a choice between an entrenched insider who's a lot of analysis paralysis, but it's not about getting things done. Whereas I'm an independent reformist who brings interesting ideas, who can get stuff done for you, and who will always fight for you to represent your interest. We are involved in property tax dollars, and I will do my utmost to figure out ways to return the money back to you. That's my pledge, that's my promise. Please go to rishikumar.com and invest in a campaign. Help us win. Thank you.
Thank you, and let me start by saying thank you all so much for sitting with us for over an hour and hearing this very important discussion about who will be your next assessor. This is a very important office, and the role is not something we should take lightly. This is someone who's responsible for ensuring that all assessable property gets assessed fairly, accurately, and in accordance with the law. And so it's very important that we have someone who has the experience, the qualifications, and who understands the job and will be focused on the job and not Sacramento to make sure the office continues to work for you. As your next assessor, I will ensure that we continue to do the work fairly, accurately, and defend those appeals that are legal by our office, that were done professionally, and for those appeals that get filed or for those assessed values that for whatever reason we may have missed the information, we will quickly correct those. That's a commitment I will make to you as homeowners, taxpayers, and residents. I will make sure our office complies with the law and we're right by you. In addition to being, vice mayor, mayor of my council, and it's a lot more than what my opponent said, but he hasn't served as mayor, so I understand he may not fully understand what a mayor does. I've also served as president of the Cities Association of Santa Clara County. I've also served as president, as I said, of the Peninsula Division Board, and I mention these because it demonstrates that I have been selected for leadership position because I've demonstrated I can get it done.
Thank you so much to the candidates and to our timekeeper, and especially the candidates for keeping it congenial. So you, usual time for an election, but you should be receiving an absentee ballot at the end of next week. And hope you all vote, and hope this helped make you decisions. So thank you kindly, and thanks for everyone for participating.